Hello, everybody, and welcome to week 11. We are finishing up our third unit, which, of course, this unit we've been thinking about the relationship between hip hop and major labels, as well as how some hip hop labels tried to become major. And what we're going to be looking at this week is, after thinking about Tommy Boy very briefly, or Tommy Hilfiger, sorry, briefly last week, and thinking about hip hop hipsterism and Afrocentrism, and all of these readings the week before. This week we're going to be looking at really the one hip hop label that was able to create enough national brand power and staying power to stick around for the better part of a decade and to really revise what we think of as hip hop fashion when it comes to the mainstream. So, the title of this week is Now with Sean on the Hot Track, Melt Like It's Hot Wax. Put it out, all the stores. Bet you could shop that. Sean John brings this street designer to the nation. So we're going to be thinking about this revolution with, Puffy and Sean John. Of course, Puffy, P. Diddy, and Sean John is his government name. We're going to be thinking about, Sean John Combs. But, we're going to be thinking about the relationship of Puffy to the fashion industry, because although we recognize him as the head of Bad Boy Records, as Biggie's right hand man, as the producer who's very forward facing person, meaning he's on the videos and advertisements and all that kind of stuff, he also really deeply shifted hip hop fashion. So for your checklist this week, what you're going to be doing is reading a short reading, only about 9 pages, telling the story of how Sean John kind of became a label and what was unique about it. And then I've also put together some videos for you on YouTube to work through that should help you as you work through the materials this week. So you're going to start off by reading the short chapter, and then you after that are going to do this guide, or sorry, not afterwards, but while you're reading, you're going to be doing this guided notes activity. This is a super easy activity. So, this week we're studying how Sean John represents a turning point in hip hop fashion history. We're thinking about Sean John as representative as how, for the phenomenon when hip hop went from having designers whose work stayed mostly in New York, or, in the case of Cross Colors in LA, to major cities, to major cities all over the place, and making a brand that actually goes global. But we actually need to know how that happens, because it's not just a coincidence. So using Romero's text, which is the chapter that I've assigned to you, please find specific data to support how Sean John was revolutionary, and don't worry about the assigned category. You're doing it for all three. So for full credit, you have to use page numbers in your answers, and you need to put your answers. This is simple. This is like a guided notes activity. You're putting your answers in bulleted form underneath each section with the page number that you found it on. So for full credit, you must have 3 bullet points per category. You can copy and paste the categories into the Word document or submission box. So in other words, what you're going to do is you're going to copy and paste this, put it in a Word document, and as you read, you'll just take notes under each category. You must have 3 bullet points, meaning 3 distinct points of how Sean John was economically revolutionary, how it was revolutionary in its design and design principles, and how it was revolutionary in its cultural impact, the way it circulates, or its branding. Those are the 3 categories that you're looking for. You must have 3 answers per category in order to get full credit on this assignment. Okay, so that's what you're doing first. Second, you'll see that I put together a Sean, and I spelled Sean John here wrong. You're going to be looking at this Sean John YouTube playlist. So when you go up here, you can see that there's a playlist that's linked on Canvas as well. And it says, you've got the New York Fashion Week debut. There's a brief sort of narration of why Sean John was significant. Here's one of Sean John's commercials to get you a sense of how he branded himself and represented himself. Here is Sean John's 2001 fall collection. And there's another part of it if you want to go find it, but it's 9 minutes long. I'm not saying you have to watch the whole runway show or this part of the runway show. Just kind of click through it. Here, you've got the 10th anniversary. They actually narrate a little bit more about Puffy and all that he did in 2008 in the 10th anniversary of Sean John. And then here, this is a kind of impromptu video. It's not super professionally made, but it does do a decent job of explaining who Puffy was to people before he became a designer, and why Sean John was so significant. So I highly suggest that you take a look at that as well. So you're just browsing through these, After you do so, you're completing your sketch submission. So we'll look up here at the sketch submission. I'll go back home, and we can find it under the week 11 module, week 11 module. So right here, when we click on the sketch submission, it pulls this up and it says, using your notes from the reading, which is what I just described to you, the bullet points thing, and then the Sean John video playlist, I want you to sketch your own piece inspired by Sean John's line. So look at all the different things that he represented, look at the different kind of clothes he designed, and all I want you to do is make a sketch based off of this. Now, again, we're not all artists, so I can't always tell. In your description, I want you to reference the principles, ideas, or looks, meaning the stuff from the bullet points or the stuff that you see on the runway that your sketch is inspired by. You can reference the ideas from the chapter, which would be like, oh, on this page she talks about this. Or you can reference a particular moment from the videos. On the 2001 runway video, I saw this look. There's a guy wearing a sleeveless top, that kind of thing. In order to get full credit, you must be specific in your description. Let me say that again. In order to get full credit, you must be specific in your description. So although you don't have a ton of work this week all around, you do need to make sure that you are being as specific and precise as possible in your answers here, and you will be graded for the quality of your work. This is not just completion grades. You need to make sure that you're actually doing the requirements of what I've asked you to do this week in order to understand where we get to next week with our last unit, which is the new luxury. Okay, so as always, let me know if you have any questions. For many of you, I talked to you in your mid-semester evaluations and said, hey, I want you to reach out more. I want you to communicate more. I do not get a lot of communication from my online students, and you will be much more successful in my class if you communicate clearly with me. So please let me know if you have any questions, and I look forward to seeing your sketches from this week. All right, everybody, have a great week.